Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. We are back at it with two brand new releases that came out recently. I'm definitely excited to try these. So both of these are actually wine finishes. If you ever watch the channel, I'm going to go ahead and pour these real quick. I am a big fan of wine finish bourbons, or in this case, a rye for Sagamore. So really excited for both of these. Try them both out. I've already poured a little bit, at least for the Sagamore in my Affinity bottle. I didn't get a chance to do that though for the Barrell. Go ahead and just pop this, let it breathe for a little bit. Let it breathe. All right, so two brand new releases that came out in the last month or two, if you will, for the most part. But I'm really excited for both of these. I'm gonna go ahead and dive into these real quick. All right, let's start with the our good friends over at Barrell. So what do we know about this one? So this is the Barrell bourbon. This is the ice wine finish, coming from their entire like cask finishing series. When you think of their cask finishing series, I think back to like their Amburana, which I actually would think that they probably had one of the better Amburana finishes because it wasn't extremely Amburana-ish, if that makes sense. They had the Amburana finish, they had Mizunara, that was the whole Japanese wood, that was really, really good. And then they just came out with this one here, the ice wine finish, which is seems pretty interesting, ready to give it a try. So this one came out again right at the end of September. Let me go ahead and just check the proof real quick. Okay, 106.5 proof on the dot. Now, the blend, we all know Barrell blends their butts off. It's a blend of anywhere from 5 to 11-year-old Indiana bourbon. There's different years in there. So 5 to 11-year-old Indiana bourbon, 5 and 8-year-old Kentucky bourbon, 9 and 15-year-old Tennessee whiskey, and last but not least, 9-year-old Wyoming bourbon. Goodness gracious. I mean, Barrell, seriously, I mean, that's a lot. That is a lot. So they blended all that together, and then they finished it in the iced wine cask. The challenge is we don't know exactly how long it was in the iced wine cask, but it was in there obviously for a period of time. The nice thing I love about Barrell, at least, you know, historically, and with this one as well, MSRP for this one and the majority of the other products, $90. They're anywhere from like $85 to $90. So this one here, $90 on the dot as well. So that's what we have for our good friends over at Barrell. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this. And I do want to give a shout out and thanks, by the way, for Barrell for sending over this this bottle for a sample for a review. I do appreciate that. All right, let's get into this one. So $90, a blend of a crap load of different bourbons and whiskeys. All right. Didn't know what to expect with like an ice wine finish. Huh, that's interesting. So there's a lot going on in here. Wow, there's a lot. The number one thing that stands out to me, it's extremely fruit forward, which at the core of a lot of Barrell blends, that's there. But this is, normally Barrels have a lot of like blackberries and cherries and so forth. This is more like apple, pear. Wow, yeah, very like the lighter fruits, like apples, pears, a little bit of honey in here as well. Wow, very much like on the sweeter side, not those darker cherry, blackberries, raspberry kind of notes that you typically get from like a Barrell product. This is more on the lighter fruit forward side, if you will, like the apple pear side. All right, well, here we go. Hey, $90 bottle, ice wine finish. This is the first one. Can't wait to try it. Cheers. Wow, that's actually very nice. Wow, very sweet. Very sweet. That is, wow, very much apples, pears, honey, and a smidge, I mean, maybe just a drop or two of caramel. Not a ton. More on the honey and almost like the, almost like a vanilla note to it as well. Let me get a smidge more. Wow. Very, some baking spices. I knew there was something I was missing. in the back of the palate. There was something in the back of the palate I was missing. Definitely like some baking spices as well. So this is a softer, sweet, forward blended whiskey as a whole. All right, so I'm gonna give a judgment. Judge, is this a buy, a do not buy, or something different? This, my friends, I'm actually gonna give this one a split decision. I like it, but it is very sweet. It's not something that I think I would sit back on a daily basis and drink day in, day out. It's not like some of their other batches that they've had before. Even like the Mizunara, I love the earthiness, like from the Japanese oak. That I thought you can drink every single day. This is probably closer to like the Amburana finish. It's not similar to Amburana. I'm saying from the standpoint of the Amburana, that's a mood pour. You have to be in the mood for that very cinnamon chocolate forward note. That's a mood pour, not something you would drink every day. This too is a mood pour, completely opposite than Amburana, to be crystal clear. But it's very sweet. I mean, this is like, geez, this is almost like a dessert pour, honestly. It is truly a dessert pour. At the end of the night, you know, you're sitting back, you're like, do I want like an actual dessert, or do I want to have something like a whiskey that's a little bit sweeter? This, my friends, is a dessert pour. Extremely sweet, but if you like a very sweet forward blended whiskey, I think you would love this. If you're more of a traditional person, like, you know, like your normal, your leather, your caramel, your brown sugar, probably not for you. So for this one, I'm going to give it a split decision. Very good, but just not something that you can sip every single day. So that's that. All right. Now we're going to go over to Sagamore. Woohoo! So Sagamore recently came out with this triple cask finish. I think this actually might only be like an East Coast thing. This is part of the whole Maryland collective group. They basically pick different barrels. They come out with these unique blends just because they are obviously part of the whole Maryland, like very near and close to where Sagamore is located. So it's not so much like, I'm judging this one, not so much just only on this whiskey, but just in this blend, by the way, but just Sagamore as a whole. So what do we know about this one? So Sagamore, this is the triple cask finish. So it's actually 3 different barrels. They took rye whiskey that they aged for about 4 or 5 years, and then they took barrels that were then aged in, what was this? Okay, yeah, we got Sauternes, Oloroso Sherry, and Vino de Narne. I think I killed that name, but you get the point. The Vino D. Vino D, Sauternes, and Oloroso Sherry. So the whiskey itself was aged for 4 to 5 years by itself, a standard whiskey. And then they dumped whiskey in separate barrels. The Vino, the Sauternes, and the Oloroso Sherry. They aged it in those separate barrels for 3 years, and then they blended it and put it back together. So it's about 7 to 8 years old in totality. Very cool. Also, from a proof standpoint, what is this? 112.8 proof. 112.8 proof. It's a $80-ish bottle plus tax, right? Depending if you're buying it in Delaware versus Maryland or Virginia, but 112.8 proof. So it's a rye whiskey finished in those 3 different finishes. Again, allocation probably more on the East Coast, but this is more about just how good is Sagamore whiskey and their blends, their finishes, I should say. All right, Maryland triple cask. A lot of hype about this one. Let's dive into it. Man, that nose is, oh gosh, it's so deep, rich, and bold. It kind of reminds me of, in many ways, their version of the Sagamore Sherry. It's almost like the Sagamore Sherry nose, but on steroids. It's deep, and I mean deep notes of like blackberries, raspberries, some cherry notes as well. Oh my gosh, this does remind me of like the sherry, just the standard Sagamore Sherry, but on steroids, like to the 10th degree. And the only other thing I would probably add in is a smidge of like a smidge, and I mean a very little bit of like a brown sugar kind of a note. Wow, that nose is pretty impressive. I like that. A triple cask finish, not bad. Hey, real quick, 3 quick easy favors. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. Let me know what are your thoughts on if you tried this version of Sagamore or just Sagamore products in general, as well as if you tried the ice wine also from Barrell. Last but not least, please also make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get a notification each and every time I release new content. Cool? All right. Cheers. Woo! Oh! That, my friends, is delicious. Jeez, that is good. It's everything in the nose. Blackberries, raspberries. It had like that grapey kind of a note to it. It had a cherry. It's a very, obviously, it's 3 different wine finishes, from the vino to the sauternes to the oloroso sherry. It is truly like that sherry experience, but on steroids, like on another level. And it does have like that almost like a caramelized, like brown sugar leathery note in the back of it as well. At 112, was it 112? Yeah, 112, right? 112.8. Let me get another sip. Oh, 112.8. This is flipping delicious. Woo-hoo! Sagamore, the Maryland Collector Team, you guys did a hell of a blend. That is flat out insane good. $80 bottle, I would buy a case of that. I'm telling you, that is so good. It's fantastic, neat, and it's probably even better with a cigar, which I plan on having tonight, having this with a cigar. That is truly flat out amazing. I think, honestly, when it comes down to it, for the most part, you can finish a rye in a wine cask much better than you can finish a bourbon in a wine cask, traditionally. And this is a great representation of the reason why. They blend so well together. That, my friends, that's pretty damn special. That is pretty damn special. Hey, friends, until the next time, peace, cheers, and most important, salute. Take care. See you guys.